Hey guys, in my last video I pointed out that there were gaps up here, which there often are, and I'd peeled back the hairpiece and cut along the top because I'd created too much overhang back over these hairs, meaning that these hairs here couldn't seamlessly flow over the top when brushed forward of the hairpiece. And so I removed it. I couldn't walk around with that gigantic gap. I came up the stairs a couple of days ago and I realized anyone above me is looking down at the top of my head. People can see the top of your head in a lot of situations, unless you go with a brush back look all the time to cover over such gaps. Well, basically you shouldn't just have giant chunky gaps missing when you put your hairpiece on. So there are three problems. One is, whenever I shave all the stubble off my forehead so I can glue the hairpiece down, I've got to try to remember, I've got to try and line up exactly along this edge here and not creep back with the shaving, because the edge of the razor blade is obviously gonna, so I put my finger there and I line it up and try and get it nice, exactly the same way as it was many moons ago. And I think in general, I don't creep back with the razor blade because I can see where the stubble is, and I can see where long hairs are. Once in a while, I'll probably shave off a good hair, which is supposed to be part of that thicket that is on the perimeter. But yeah, of course, I'll accidentally cut off some of those hairs that need to stay there. But that doesn't explain a lot of these thinning out parts around here that go beyond into the perimeter. And I think the reason for those clearings is baldness. So potentially I've become more bald, which is highly probable in the last, when did I start this? 2011? Yeah, so in the last 8 years, I've become more bald. So these bits probably have thinned out. And so this stencil cut, which is one that I put on once for a moment and then I took it off. I can't remember why. At any rate, I just peeled the glue off it. Because I'd taken it off and stuck it in a drawer. There might be something wrong with this hairpiece. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I'll find out in a second. I'm going to use it again today. The other one, which I was wearing yesterday, I had cut this bit back too much, and so there was a very large gap there. Then there's nothing I could do to change it. Instead of being this long, it was now only about that long. So that huge gap, there's no, unless I pulled back from my front hairline, which I don't want to do. The front hairline's the thing that matters the most. I just had to throw it away. So I'm going to simply use this hairpiece again today. This hairpiece, this length of it, is about 1/3 of the length of a standard hairpiece that you buy, which means I can pay 1/3 of the price because I get 3 hairpieces out of each hairpiece. Now for me to start shaving back to here to really make sure that there's no balding bits at all and it just goes all the way back here, has the disadvantage of me having to only get 2 hairpieces out of a hairpiece. So it's going to cost me more per hairpiece, because at the moment I think it's about $1 a day, given the amount of time a hairpiece lasts and the fact that I get 1/3 of the price for a hairpiece, right? But it does have the advantage that hairpieces tend to have hair that flow primarily in the direction of the way that it's stitched. So this hairpiece naturally does want to flow towards that direction. Brushing it back would cause it sort of a lifting. It won't just flatten nicely when I brush it back. The hair pieces generally want to have hairs that flow in one direction only. The worst situation is when they've stitched it in multiple directions. Sometimes they stitch it so that it wants to flow that way, but also that way on that part of it, which means you've got a hairpiece that's messy in all directions. So you gotta be careful. That's something about quality control. The people who are doing the stitching, the Chinese ladies, they are sometimes just twisting it around and stitching in that direction and twisting it around and stitching in that direction. And when I cut out a third of it, it's not designed for me really. But in all cases, the Chinese ladies should stitch in one direction. I'd say if it's not stitched all in one direction, then the hairpiece is going to be hard to brush into a nice pattern. My favorite hairpieces are the ones that are all stitched in one direction. If I made this, as you can see, this is a semicircle. I've cut out a bit there for the forehead there. But if that bit wasn't snipped off there, then I could make this whole thing symmetrical so that I could put it on that the hairs want to face in that direction, or if I want more of a brush back look, and on that particular month or so that I want to wear the hairpiece, I could make it flow in that direction primarily instead. And also I think it would be less troublesome in trying to line up those parts there, along there and along the temples, so there's no gap, because everything would be symmetrical. It'd be hard to get it wrong. So if you've got a symmetrical hairpiece, you're at an advantage when applying it. I don't. One thing that I've also considered to try to make sure that it lands in the right spot is to have a key lock type cut. In this case, there is a kind of a key lock, but it's so vague, given that that's just rounded. A key lock would mean you've got some sort of bump. I wouldn't recommend square, because square means you've got edges that just want to peel back. Rounded is harder to peel. In fact, if it was possible that hair grew on men that way, then you get the maximum amount of hold, right? You get the maximum amount of hold if it's going that way, because it's hard for it to peel back, because the whole thing down here would have to peel back before this bit could peel back. That would give it the arch strength that architectures for thousands of years with keystone technology have known about. An arch is probably the strongest for not wanting to give way. But that's never going to happen. I'll always want the hair like that. So until I shave those bits back off and go with a bigger hairpiece, I'm going to continue to have those bald gaps there. So all the videos I'm going to be showing you into the future until I do that are going to remain bald in that spot, and there's nothing I can do about it. Because those bits are balding and there will always be gaps. I'd need to shave back to about here and have hair pieces that are larger. So I've applied the glue more than 15 minutes ago, so it's dried now to the scalp. I wasn't that careful around this hairline, so as you can see I've got glue in my natural hairs there. And to remove those bits of glue, I'll take the alcohol spray and spray all around up there. And then just take a comb and brush them back out. And then pick off any glue that I'm separating off with my fingers. So it's as simple as that to get those edge glues out. So this bit in here is like an inlet. As if you can imagine, my balding naturally goes like that, right? So this would be a peak. So there's no glue in there, nor will there be hair in there when I put this on. And when I do try to put the hairpiece on, I often, I think, try to make it cover that, which is a mistake. I can't cover it. I just have to know that there are going to be gaps all through there until I take the massive leap of shaving back in further, cutting hair pieces bigger, sacrificing about that much hair from the hair pieces and throwing it away because it's no good. It'll be too short for any usage unless I'm going to go into play where I need sideburns or something and it would match my hair perfectly. Or I could just, I don't know, there's nothing I can really do with it. It's just going to be useless to me. It's a huge waste. And I don't get custom pieces done anymore because it takes 8 weeks. So if I just order the stock pieces, it only takes about 4 or 5 days before it arrives. So I'm just going to put this hairpiece on as normal. I've explained this many times. You could glue the poly entirely and then be careful with your fingers touching it because it's going to peel off onto your fingers and potentially come off. There is some texture to this, so it's not completely slippery, so that means it will grip some glue onto it, but glue is going to tend to stick to your fingers just as much and pull away and create a mess. The other thing is, when you spray it with alcohol, the whole thing becomes slippery, messy, and you're sliding it into position on your head, and because the glue sort of melted with the alcohol, it leaves all the glue all spludged around, which is exactly the reason you would pre-glue this, to make sure that there is no excess glue here or here. But the act of melting it with the alcohol causes the glue to be all melted and it spludges around into your hair and down here, which is why I glue here first, place the hairpiece down, and then glue the front hairline of the poly, like I'm about to show you. So I've brushed the hair away from this area, which I need to see, but it's still damp, so I can see through the hairs into my reflection. If you tried to do this with a dry hairpiece, it would be a lot more difficult. Every time I do it, I get it exactly wrong. Okay, so I'm trying to line up with the temples here with these 2 corners. Trying to make sure it's not on an angle. And trying to make sure there's no gap back here. There will be, obviously, the balding gaps though, which is what I've just had to come to terms with. So that's just resting gently. There's no real grip with the glue on the head because I haven't pressed it down in any way. Just doing little final checks now to see that it's mostly in position. Then I'll take the brush and just brush it. So we're just basically pushing the hairpiece into the glue so it stays. I'm not brushing the front though because I want to stretch that down to make sure that it reaches the top of the top nub, which is right there. Okay, and then just pressing it down like that. Now it's in position, so I'll just brush the rest in so that it's hardened into position like that. Okay, and then now I'm just going to pull the front hairline back so that I can apply glue to this area that I left unglued on the scalp. And clearly the reason I do that black shows off dandruff pretty badly. I mean, it shows it well, which is bad. Okay, so that front part of the scalp remains unglued, and now I'll use this hairband to keep this all back and apply glue directly to the poly. Still using Walker Tape Ultra Hold. Just make sure that stem has got the glue scraped off, otherwise it's going to fall all over the place, unless you want a big wide gluing area, which I kind of do at the moment. In which case you can use the entire stem to just cover that wide area just to begin with. Just make sure it doesn't drip. And now, as I was explaining to you in a previous video, you don't want to miss out on these very front edges here. because otherwise it'll peel off too easily at the front hairline. It's gonna go right to that front edge. And yes, it's scary to think that you might touch the hairs with the glue, and that's the thing you need to worry about the most while doing this. Or you equally need to worry about getting enough glue on the front, very front edge, and not getting glue in the hairs. And sometimes because of a lot of nicotine or a lot of caffeine or a lot of, I don't know, weakness, I get the shakes in my hand. But even so, I'm able to manage those shakes as I apply. The glue. Just making really sure I get right up the front there. And after making about 30 mistakes over the years or months that you practice this, you'll get better, unless you've got really Parkinson's disease, at trying to miss the hairs at the front. But I usually have a couple of little spots where there's a tiny bit of glue hanging over into the hairs, which I'm tempted to pick out with my fingers, which rips hairs out. So I recommend you just brush it into position, and then if you need to, use C22 adhesive remover and a brush, and then wash your hair so that comes out. And of course, the great thing about poly is putting that C22 directly onto the top of your hairpiece is not a risk of lifting the hairpiece off. One of the thousands of advantages of poly over lace. The other thing is, as I was saying in a comment earlier today, you can wear a cap if you have poly hairpiece. If you are going from having no hair at all, like if you're just starting out, or if you're going back from shaving your head, you could potentially go from a completely shaved head to wearing a hairpiece. If you're the sort of person who has a shaved head, but it's not razor shaved. Razor shaved turns into stubble anyway after about 3 days, right? So if you've got a horseshoe, right, or anything like that, that hair will start looking like beard stubble after 3 days anyway. So if you want to wait 3 days for it to grow back a bit and you're using a hat, wearing a hat, you could apply your hairpiece all the way with that and brush it back and then hide it all with a cap. And even though the heat is going to cause the glue to be melted underneath the hairpiece and everything like that, it's the reason you would do this, by the way, is so that you never have to be bald again starting from today. But the reason you wear a hat is to hide it from people who know you. You've been bald, 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 bald. But maybe you're going on holiday and now you're going to try out a hairpiece because these people have never seen you before. So you put on a hairpiece, you wear a hat over the top, you're not completely confident. Maybe the hair is too long for a shaved head, or you look like a punk because you've just got really long hair and really shaved sides, which is not an unseen haircut, by the way. But what I'm saying is, you can wear a hat over poly, even though it's hot, because the glue can't come up through the netting of lace. So in lace, you wouldn't wear a cap with your hairpiece unless it's very cold, in which case the glue won't melt. No. But generally, glue will melt if you're wearing a cap over the top of your hairpiece, and it will push up through the lace netting. And with poly, that can't happen, and so you're safe. The glue can be melted underneath your hairpiece, but it won't be seen. And the hair can't get fucked up because the glue can't come up through the netting and into the hairs and mat it all up and fuck it up. With lace, you can't really just peel the glue off the back and just reuse it like this one, like what I did today. Poly's advantageous in so many ways. You have to bleach the roots at the front if you've got dark hair. Anything brown or black You just definitely have to bleach along the front roots. Otherwise it'll just be nothing, 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 boom, hair, right? It'll look like a doll. They don't bleach it there. And in my case, I have to bleach it anyway because I cut 3 hair pieces out of a hairpiece. So I have to bleach that. And I don't know any company that does that for you. I don't even know why they don't offer that as a service, which you could pay for, because if you have money but you don't have patience, then that's something they could be profiting from. I don't know why they don't offer that. Bleached front roots with each poly hairpiece, you know? Because they offer cutting your hair, they offer the style, they offer cutting it to the stencil shape that you give them. They offer bleached knots with lace, but they don't offer bleached front roots. Or, like, it would be better off having bleached roots all the way through the poly, if they could do that. I don't know if you can see the coloration change here, blonde to brown. Sometimes I regret when I bleach not going deeper into the hairs. I just don't want to get bleach on the higher parts of the hairs. I just want it to be there on the lower part of the hairs. The thing is, because I have to, once I put this on my head, often it's just going too far down on the edges here, and I often have to tend to cut those bits out, which means that I'm cutting away the bleached roots because I didn't bleach far enough in. I've got several videos which shows you how I apply bleach, and it's very freaking messy and easy to kind of do the way I do it, but there's no need to wait to do it. I mean, I'm doing it perfectly well. If you see those videos, it's about 45 minutes exposure time to peroxide that you buy $15 from the chemist or the drugstore or eBay. By the way, I just got 2 new mucks sent from eBay. It was about 38 Australian dollars delivered. They're generally about $22 for 95 grams of muck, which is the ultimate hair styling hair product. Nothing I've ever used competes with muck. I'll be wearing muck t-shirts soon, sponsorship and shit. Because YouTube won't monetize me, because I think I swear too much. I've tried. I mean, I've reached the hour requirements of watch time, and I've got over 1,000 subscribers. So I said, they sent me an email when that happened, would you like to monetize? And I said, okay. Shove ads in people's faces before I speak each time. I don't care, it's only you. It's a bit mean, but you know, I think with all the time I spend making these videos and uploading them and taking away from my time on the computer, I mean, there is some pleasure in this for me as well. I get to blurt out my rants and shit at you, and you've got no option but just decide to listen or scrub through, try and see what the hair looks at the end or something. But yeah, I might as well make 1 cent per freaking million minutes of video or some shit, whatever it is. I don't think it's good money unless you're like Justin Bieber and you have a $6 billion view count. Actually, no, that's wrong. There's about 1 billion views for Gangnam Style. Is that like 1.5 billion views on YouTube? It'd be the same person watching over and again, but they tell people, come watch this. But if you add up all the people who've re-uploaded Gangnam Style and you add them all together, that could potentially add up to 2 billion views for that one song. Probably more. My objective is to compete with that. So, yeah, just by making hair videos like this, that's gonna happen. I just have to trust in God. If it doesn't happen, I know I'm not praying hard enough. So, when I push this down, and I hopefully I've got enough glue right there at the very front edge, It looks a little bit there like it's not quite enough glue. The thing is, I'm not gonna show you this drying and push it down and style it and cut it and stuff. I'll just do that in my own time. I should address a couple of constant questions that keep erupting from the comment section. Aside from all the questions which ask, can I in the future make a video about such and such, which I've already done. So just look in the library. I haven't really made a video about transplants versus hair pieces. People are saying things like it costs about 3,000 American to go to China or Turkey and get plugs, and I've got a good donor area. I just haven't seen plugs look good. So I'm waiting for technology to get better. In the meantime, I just get on with my life because this is a hat hair and I just put it on and I can just get on with my life. Obviously I make videos and I spend more time on it than other people who wear hair. This is absolutely true. If you're looking at me as an example of how much time people spend doing this, I can assume with great confidence, people who wear hair do not spend as much fucking time on this as me. They put their hair on, they go, oh, fuck, that doesn't look right, press it down and then fix it up and then they get on with their lives. I make videos about it, so I'm talking about it every time you see me. But anytime you don't see me, I can assure you I'm not having conversations about this with anyone in the real world. So add up all the hours I've ever put into the videos on this. And that's about the amount of time I've spent on this altogether. Because I have made videos most of the times that I've ever done it. Well, in the last few years anyway. So when this dry, I don't even actually need to wait for this to dry completely. I could press it down now, but it will dry faster if I just wait 15 minutes or 20 minutes for just this to dry perfectly. Then I'll push it down, then I'll be able to immediately go into cutting my hair and styling it and pulling on it and stuff. If I push it down now, it'll be like mozzarella cheese, but for about an hour and a half or 2 hours, because the hair's not getting in to dry it. If it's pressed down against my scalp. But if I press it down, and I really have to go out the door, it's like they're waiting for you, okay, fucking hurry up. That doesn't happen, but if it did, I could push it down now, while wet, brush in a position, in probably a brush forward hairstyle, and walk out the door, and within the next 2 hours it just naturally dry. But in this situation, I've got all the time I need to just wait for 15-20 minutes, push it down, then have it all run smoothly and comfortably. And as you can see, this will land exactly where that is. There'll be no glue overhang. On this occasion, I seem to have not got any glue in the hairs at all. So, well done. And then I'm gonna just cut my hair into a style that I like. And the last style I had was quite short. It was only about eyebrow length hair going up into small bits there, like shorter. The bald patch on the back, which changes in different lighting, I'm not afraid of. It doesn't seem to be a bald spot, not yet. So I'll let that stay as it is. I was thinking about getting some Topic, which is little microfibers you can sprinkle into the gaps, which would be great for emergencies. Like if you were going to be on television, which I intend to do, I don't want those gaps showing. So Topic would solve that. I just got dark brown, should work, right? I never know whether or not people who have never worn hair pieces before watch each new video, given that This is video 158 now. If I was trying to look up some information, I might not start at 158. But then I watched the Joe Rogan show and I don't care about the number. I just look at what this video is about, and I'll probably click on it if that's a discussion that I'm interested in hearing about. So I understand there'll be people who are new occasionally watching some of these videos who don't wear hair at all, or are curious about whether or not they should. And a lot of the time they're frustrated, they can't engage while the conversation is going on, and so they go, fucking you're an asshole, or you should do this differently, or write all in capitals with exclamation marks, shouting at me. A lot of people wear hair, and it's not a life choice, it's a probably 6-month choice. I can shave my head and go back to being shave-headed. But then if I watch videos and look at photos of myself with a shaved head, it just doesn't suit me. I'd say if you're muscular and tanned, you can shave your head. If you're pale and muscular, you probably still wouldn't shave your head. You've got to have both of those things, muscular and tanned. If you're tanned and not muscular, I'd say you don't shave your head either. You've really got to have both of those things to make it work, to be bald. If you're fat or if you're thin, it's not going to work. If you're pale, it's not going to work. In most situations, hair is better. You don't want to look aggressive to people in general, real everyday life. How do you think aggressive people are respected? Through potential fear. And when you go up to engage with somebody in a conversation, and you've got a shaved head and you're walking towards them, is their heart going to skip a beat so that they're not comfortable around you? It's not a good way to make friends, to be bald. Unless you look kind of just... The truth is, not all bald men look aggressive, do they? They don't. So when I talk about vanity and wearing your hair to look better, it's not just about looking attractive. It's about you looking in the mirror and going, how will people perceive me when I look like this? If you've got a bone through your nose and fucking heaps of piercings all over you, you're going to be treated differently from a man in a suit with well-groomed hair, aren't you? Even if you're the same person. Why are my friends and family treating me differently on this day versus any other day? Maybe it's your clothing choice. Maybe it's your hygiene or your way you've shaved your face that day or your hairstyle. Do I look worthy of respect? But you'd think you should be respected in all situations, but instinctively people just don't treat you well if you look bad. Even if you're really kind, they need to know you're very kind first, and strangers don't know you, so they're going to treat you based on how you appear to them in that given moment. And you might have somebody with fucking teardrop tattoos and shit being really friendly and polite to you, but are you going to let them babysit your kids? No. So the reason I wear hair is to make my life better, to make people treat me better. People do treat me better. I've had a shaved head, and I've worn hair, and I've shaved my head again, and I can see directly, without me doing anything different with my behavior, even me forgetting, what the hell is different? Oh, fuck yeah, my hair is shaved. That's why everyone's been treating me like a piece of shit. So I know exactly what it feels like to try both. And if you haven't tried it, just 6 months, just try it. And you think, oh, what about the money? It's like, well, it's going to cost money. But there's less involved time than shaving your head every day. Shaving your head every day is more effort than this. There's less effort than shaving your head all the time, with greater rewards. The only thing is money. That's the only problem. And just so I don't sound like a broken record. No, I will sound like a broken record if I say this, and I'm going to say it anyway. I don't work for lordhair.com, but they send me hair within about 3 or 4 days after I order it online. If I order the stock pieces. Always order the stock pieces. If you don't know what hair color you've got, just guess. Let them send you a shade off. If you've got blonde hair, don't guess dark brown. You wouldn't guess that. You'd guess light blonde, medium blonde. You look at the pictures, and obviously the image is not going to be exactly the same color as reality, but it'll be good enough that it'll just blend in. Like I had medium brown, which was a bit too light compared to my natural hair, even though hair does change color in summer. And so eventually, after about 1.5 years of that, I got maybe medium dark brown, 1 shade darker, and that's perfect now. That's the hair color that comes from the factory, and that's my natural hair color. And there's blonde peroxide that I put there. So just guess, get a stock piece, get a 6-pack of poly. When they say poly, they're talking about the base. There's lace and there's poly. Lace comes in 2 flavors that are any good. French, which is durable, and Swiss lace, which is thinner, but a little bit more realistic. French is good enough. With Swiss lace, you can get medium light density, which looks very realistic, except for the fact that glue is shiny, and it will shine through. So for the reasons of covering over that glue, you've got to get a thicker density, medium density. This is medium density, even though they say it's medium light density on the website. Don't believe that, it's actually medium. Get medium, either medium French lace, medium density French lace, or medium density poly. Lordhair.com is fine, go through that. LORDHAIR.com. And register, confirm your email so they know you exist. This is a standard confirmation when you're joining a website. And now log in, okay? Get the 6-pack of 0.03mm ultra thin skin poly S22 units. You get 6 hair pieces that are full size for your whole head, and then cut them out to a stencil, which I've given instructions on other videos on how to make a stencil. Shave off the baby hairs. I know you don't want to, but they're useless, okay? You need to glue down that area, and so it will stick properly. If you try to put glue over your natural hair, it'll be a fucking pain in the ass to get out, and you'll probably rip those hairs out while removing glue. Anyway, if you want to use some sort of just tape, if you want to just buy some tape just so you can feel what it's like to wear a hairpiece over the top of your hair without shaving your head, just gel it back, put some tape on, and then just press it down and see what you can do with the front hairline with tape. I don't think tape's going to really do a front hairline, but it could, just so you can check it out. Then after you see it on your head, you go, fuck. Once that's on properly, that's gonna look fucking amazing. Then I have a full head of hair again. Then you'll be worried, oh shit, but everyone knows I'm bald. What am I gonna do? Go on vacation, come back with a beard and reading glasses and shit. Wear all that stuff for a week with your hair and everything. And people go, shit, you look so different since you've been on holiday. Gradually remove the glasses, shave the beard off, and you're still left with the hair. People say, you're wearing your hairpiece? I said, maybe. But everyone who is new, will never question. And then you'll have a hairpiece on for the rest of your life. Well, until transplant technology becomes good, in which case you'd obviously do that instead. Or if the fashion that all people shave off their eyebrows and fucking hair and everything in the 2030s, and you can choose that as well, obviously. But I'd say hair's gonna be around for a while, because it's like the peacock feathers a bit, isn't it? So I've probably been talking long enough. I can see it's too shiny to be dry. Oh well, I guess it is pretty dry. There are bits here that aren't quite dry, but all right, for your sake, I'd say this is a 7/8 dry. So we'll just press it down So if I had already cut this hairpiece to the length of hairs that I wanted, then the job's done now. Okay, these gaps back here, I'm not sure what you can see. Obviously I can't see if those bald spots are still visible. But it's definitely got to be better than what I did before with cutting out those error bits. So I can feel there's not really any overhang here. Everything seems stuck down. So I'm pretty happy with that at the moment, how it is. Now I'm just going to get some water. This is one of the tools you'll need if you're starting out. This type of spray bottle sprays a lot more water at a time, which could save you time, but it's awkward to hold. This is a lot easier to do than this. See how I'm squeezing my thumb? It's all backwards. Maybe you can find a better spray bottle for water. See that? That sprays a lot of water. This is soaking. You don't really want it this wet. So just to show you, this is fully stuck down now. I'm just going to brush straight back. So it's not lifting in any way. I'm not sweating, so it's not lifting. Okay? The glue is fresh and new when it's on, and it's totally working. Just trying to declump that area over there. There might have been a gap. Looks like I might have left a huge gap here. It's alcohol spray to dissolve the glue. Potential problem for a gap over that side there. And so maybe one day later this week I'll peel that off and stick it back down, but just up a bit higher, just over on that side edge there. Because you don't really have that much of a choice. You're either going to have a gap, little gap, or you're going to have some overhang. I say favour the overhang because you don't want those gaps to be visible. But if the hairs come out of your scalp are staggered out like that, like normal hair, see? Like just look at natural hairs like that, coming out sideways, right? They're like that. So you can't put something flat and plastic, a straight line, directly against that and expect it to be lined up perfectly. With lace, it blends in nicer. That's one advantage of lace over poly, the way it joins up with the rest. But I'm prepared to forego that advantage for all the advantages that poly provides. It's by far my favorite base type. And I much prefer medium density over medium light density as well. So I haven't wet the rest of it so it's not uniformly wet all over. Just so you can get an idea. Sorry to all of you who've seen hair pieces before. I don't really know if there are any people who are new who are watching, so I might just be wasting everybody's time here, but just in case there are, it's probably better to just give them some example of what a hairpiece kind of looks like. And in the mirror, I look completely different to how I look on camera. That seems to, the thing is, when it dries, it's not going to be that pasted down. So I might cut this later on, but when I have hair, when it's dry and I put hair product in it, it'll affect the way I look a lot more than anything else. So at the moment, it seems kind of a good length, even though it's not the same length I had yesterday. But nobody's really seen me with that shorter hair length except you guys, on whom I experiment. So that's how you put on a hairpiece. It's really it's just practice, but you'll do it well enough on the first go that nobody would know, right?